Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Vignette on History. Today we're going to talk about an illegal slave ship. I mean, all of them should be an illegal, but this was a true, one of the last, American slave ships. So let's dig right in. So, did you know that there was the last American slave ship? It's called the Clotilda, Clotilda. It actually docked illegally, like in Mobile, Alabama, back in 1860. So this was like 50 years after the transatlantic slave trade had been banned. Okay, but obviously, people were still trying to enslave people for a while, so this should not be a surprise, right? So on board, there were over like 160 West African captives, and one person in particular was Cudjo, and that's Cudjo Lewis. He was one of the last survivors of the Clotilda, and he was also a man whose legacy would later shape American history. So he is one of the main people that stand out, amongst all the others. Of course, rest in peace to them, the people who weren't able to survive, and those who survived with him. So basically, Clotilda's journey was like this calculated crime, right? The guy that commissioned the ship was called a Timothy Meaher, Meaher, and he was like this real wealthy Alabama businessman. Obviously, it's deep in the South, but during a time where Jim Crow and all that was still about, or before, after, no matter what, it was still going on. So he was trying to do everything in his power to still defy what the federal ban was you couldn't import enslaved people anymore. You were supposed to, right? But he didn't care. So after the Clotilda had delivered all his human cargo, all the slaves, he deliberately burnt the ship, bro. And he sunk it in the Mobile River so he could destroy like any evidence, CSI situation. He destroyed all the evidence of the illegal act. So, despite of this, the memory of the Clotilda and its survivors lived on through what people that did survive, the people who deal with the ordeal and survived, because nobody would know, right, if they were there. So let's talk about Cudjo. Cudjo Lewis, he was an African. Of course, he was an African, and he had the African name of Kosola, which is Kossola. And he recognized like the danger of he would have to lose his cultural identity, and especially if he